Alright, a couple weeks ago, I made a video titled Compressor, Threshold, and Ratio. And in that video, I discussed the first 2 of 5 parameters on any given compressor. The threshold and ratio work hand in hand with each other to determine how much gain reduction the compressor is going to do. In this video, I'm going to teach you about attack and release. Unlike threshold and ratio, instead of determining how much gain reduction the compressor does, these 2 parameters determine how the gain reduction happens. Here's what I mean. So the threshold is the level on the meter that the compressor will start to work. So we set the threshold and everything above that threshold gets compressed. The ratio is the amount of compression being done. So this comes in a ratio format like 3:1. So in a 3:1 ratio, what that means is that for every 3 dB that crosses that threshold, it only lets 1 dB out. Okay? So that's how the amount of gain reduction is determined by those 2 parameters. But there's still a piece missing to this. How does the compressor know exactly how fast to reach that set ratio? Does it move really slowly towards that ratio, or does it move really quickly? This is actually what attack and release does in a compressor. So the attack is the amount of time it takes to reach the compression ratio after crossing the threshold. So once that audio crosses that threshold, the attack is the amount of time it takes to go from 0 compression all the way to that full compression ratio. And release is the opposite of that. So the release is the amount of time it takes for it to go from that full compression ratio all the way down to no compression at all. So why does this actually matter? Well, it matters because if the attack and release was instantaneous, think about what would happen. If it went from 0 compression all the way to full ratio, think as the signal crosses that threshold, if it was instantaneous, the audio would sound really jumpy and lurchy, and it wouldn't sound natural at all. Well, that's why we can adjust the amount of time the attack and release takes. And that's why I said at the beginning, the attack and release really determine exactly how the gain reduction happens. It determines kind of how the compressor sounds, not necessarily how much gain reduction is being done, but how that gain reduction sounds in the context of your track that you're compressing. All right, so what's the application of this? Well, let me open up a project and show you exactly, because I think this visual will really help you understand what these 2 parameters do. So I'm going to hit play on this, and the volume is turned all the way down because we only really need to see the meter and how it responds with different attack and release times. So let me hit play here, and we're going to kind of play around with this and see what the different parameters do to the gain reduction meter here. I have a threshold set, and I have the ratio set, so it's doing some gain reduction. But if you'll notice, this compressor is set as fast as it'll go, or this attack is set as fast as it'll go. And if you watch the gain reduction happening here, it's responding very, very quickly. So as soon as that signal crosses that threshold, the attack time is so short that it's really clamping down on it very, very quickly. Okay. If I slow this attack way, way down, let's put it about right there, you can see that changed pretty dramatically. Now it's taking a lot longer to get up to that full compression ratio. And that's what a slow attack time will do. Let's move this back down here and let's work on release. Let's see what this does. If we speed this up as quick as it goes, you can see it's letting go of that audio way, way faster than it was before. Kind of same principle as the attack, just the opposite of that. If I slow this way, way down, you can see it's taken a lot longer to release that signal that's being compressed. Okay, so that's exactly what attack and release do. They work to determine how quickly we're going to clamp on this signal and then how quickly we're going to let go of that. And different variations of these two parameters determine how exactly your compressor is going to sound, how it's going to affect the signal. So, like I said before, the threshold and ratio determine how much gain reduction is being done. The attack and release determine how it's being done. It determines more of the sound of your compressor rather than just determining, how much it's going to squeeze onto that signal. All right, so hopefully that kind of made sense. Hopefully that helps you understand attack and release, but also helps you understand how those two parameters work in relation to the threshold and the ratio. These four parameters are very, very important to making sure you have right, so that you're getting the right amount of compression, but also that it sounds natural, that it's giving you the effect that you want it to have. I made a video here several months back. I think it's titled, Is Attack and Release Ruining Your Mix? And the reason I made that video is because a lot of people really don't understand the attack and release parameters. And so they just kind of leave them alone, or they set them randomly, and it ends up having a really detrimental effect on their audio. And if you want to understand more of why it can really mess up your track, I'd encourage you to go watch that video. I'll link it in this description, and I'll just have it tagged come up on the video. And I think it'll help you understand why the attack and release is so important. It'll give you a better visual, and I think there's some examples on audio samples, and it'll help you understand how the attack and release really does affect the sound of your compression that's happening on your tracks. All right. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about this, you want to talk about it, type your questions in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation with you. If this doesn't quite make sense, let me know. I'll answer anything that you have to ask about it. Also, if you're new to mixing, you're trying to understand just the basics of audio, the basics of compression or EQ or any of those things, I'd encourage you to go download my free guide, The 7-Step Mix, on my website, themixingprocess.com. This guide will walk you through the 7 steps that I take in every single mix that I do, and it'll give you a great systematic process and teach you each of these steps so that you've got a good process down. You can start getting some good results out of your mixing journey. I'd encourage you to go download that, again, completely free to you. I think it'll be really helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Go be great at what you do. I will see you on the next video.